Good evening, Raider Nation. How you doing? This is Captain Jack here with the big man, and it's actually really good to say that right next to me, right off the top, without ado, no waiting, no muss, no fuss. We have the Big L. How you doing there, Big L?
I am doing absolutely lovely. Welcome to
Coast to Coast Raider Nation podcast. There you go. And Andrea, go ahead and log in. I'm going to try to make sure that I share this up. I'm going to see that if it is in fact rolling on with any of the what do you call it, the live thing here. I'm going to see if we're going. Go ahead and tell everybody where you're at and how you're doing, and tell us about how you're how that is with those what do you call it, those earthquake shocks that you're still getting.
Oh, the aftershocks, yeah. We're not getting them nearly as often. Technically we've had over 2,000 of them, but only about 30 that we've actually felt. The rest of them are kind of like a 1, a 2, a 3, something like that. But they're getting fewer and further between, thank goodness. So doing much better than last week.
All right, well, that's good to hear. And I actually got the feed where I'm sharing it right on Facebook. Here it is, Raider Nation, and it's always good to know that we can go have it out here. I'll have to share it up via the other sites, but at least we don't have to worry about people not being able to hear us tonight, which is good.
Yeah, so you guys, now that the captain is going ahead and getting it out there, please share it up, and while you're sharing it, take a listen.
Always, there's it. Always good to have everybody out here for sure.
Yeah, we love doing this for you guys, with you guys, and
because of you guys.
Yeah, that too.
That all sounds
Andrea,
great.
I'm gonna start us off with a softball.
You're setting yourself up
first
for a bad
words out
joke
of
there,
the gate.
Captain.
Should we? And what's the best way to say this? Do you want to go? Do you want to talk about the game? Do you want to talk about the last game? Or would you like to talk about the things that's basically on everybody's mind, a certain lawsuit that was put out by the city of Oakland against not just the Raiders, but the NFL?
Well, why don't we get that one out of the way?
Go ahead.
This is the most ridiculous piece of paper I think I've ever seen. It's just crazy. I don't understand how a woman who says that she represents her city and she represents the residents and the people of Oakland could turn down every single proposal that was offered to her to build a stadium, regardless of whether the Raiders had approved it or not. She had every single one of these come across her desk and she said, nah, we're good. And then she wants to turn around and sue everybody and their brother, waste even more taxpayer money after $85 million in bonds had to be renewed, and those are going to be paid by the citizens of Oakland for the next 20 or 30 years. But somehow it's the team's fault, and it's the league's fault. And they violated antitrust laws, which I have no idea how they could have done that. All the information that I've seen is just baloney. That's the nicest way I can say that. Baloney.
I'm sorry, honey. I lost my earbud. Go ahead. If you finish that thought, I apologize.
Oh, I just said that it was the nicest way I can put that is it's baloney. I think if I blew my nose on that filing, the lawsuit filing that she did, it would probably be worth more money.
I tell you, and here's the thing that people need to remember. They're saying. And we need to discuss this because a lot of people do not get it. They're saying, well, the Browns got it, and I know the difference between what the Browns had going for them and what the Raiders have. Folks, this is and Angria, I know you're going to, if I miss something, you're going to tell me. The biggest difference is this. Folks, Art Modell, when he got out of that contract, okay, he was already in with a contract with the city of Cleveland. I think he had at least 10 years with that lease to Municipal Stadium. And in order for him to get out of that contract, he had to offer up the fact that he was going to give the team the naming rights in order for him to leave. Okay, and that's what he did, and that's the only reason why that there is a big difference between what is going on with the Raiders and what is going on with Cleveland. He had to break the lease. In order to break the lease, he had to give up the name. And the other thing is that Art Modell did not have the name. He did not have that patented. He did not have that trademarked, whereas the Davis family already does have that patented and trademarked, and there's no worries about the Raiders having that in court. And oh, by the way, if you really want to go semantics, the Raiders moved in 82 to L.A.?
82, yeah, and then moved back in 95.
There you go. So if there was such an uproar against the city of Oakland, why in the hell did they not do it the first time? Okay? They didn't do it the first time because they really didn't care. They really didn't care, and that's the big difference here. Okay? And Hector says it himself, and thanks for coming aboard, Hector, said, waste time and waste taxpayers' money. It's a money grab. That's all it is. It's a money grab because they're saying that the Raiders made the taxpayers put out all of the things for the taxpayers for Mount Davis and all the other things. But I was going to say, didn't the city of Oakland change the parameters of that several times because they knew that they had these things to do, and they just basically played flippant with the deadline for all this? They knew that this could have happened, and they didn't care. And they've waited for the last hour, 11th hour, just to try to make themselves look good. Any further, if I missed anything, go get them, Andrea, because I know you will.
Well, part of that is why they have this $85 million in bonds, is because they kept renewing this money, and they kept basically wanting to have this bond money in perpetuity to carry forward because they expected that the Raiders would be there, and the Raiders aren't there. So that was their choice to make. There was no contract that's been breached as far as I know, and as far as I've researched. The city of Oakland and the Oakland Raiders have not been, since they came back, it's been 25 years almost since the team came back to Oakland, and they have had 25 years to improve that stadium. All they've done is patchwork. You cannot put a Band-Aid on a hemorrhage, but that's all they've been trying to do, and it doesn't work. And they're not going to get money out of it.
Yeah, I was going to say, and I was listening to one of the gentlemen that was talking when it was Phil Villapiano and Franco Harris, that they were out there for the event over at the Black Hole Tailgate, and they were extolling the virtues of the Coliseum, about how it is a landmark. Many great games that were there. The fact that the Oakland A's have won several championships there and all of those things. And I agree. But even the person that was talking called it a dump. He said, well, this is our dump. The point being is it's a dump, and they didn't do anything to improve it. That's the reason why Al Davis left the first time. It's the reason why Mark Davis is leaving this time.
And let me tell you this, Captain. I read the story about when Ben Roethlisberger got his ribs injured last weekend. And they took him back to do an x-ray. And Mike Tomlin did this interview and said, we couldn't even get a proper x-ray because the equipment in that building is so bad and so outdated. The x-ray technician and the radiologist couldn't even read the x-ray properly to see if his ribs were actually broken. That is bad.
Well, I was going to say, I think that's a bunch of hooey, though. I really do.
Don't.
I think that's just a pile-on to the organization more than anything else. If it is true, I just find that really hard to believe. Maybe that they're not using the most super-duper up-to-date equipment, but I'm sure that they have equipment that is good to go. If you're telling me that the doctor can't tell if his ribs are broken, that's a bunch of hooey in my mind.
When you don't have a clear enough picture on an x-ray, you can't see everything that's going on. So the problem is that the equipment, now think about the Raiders, most of their money goes back into what they're doing for their fans. This is why Mark Davis is the poorest owner in the NFL right now, and he has been. Most of the money that they use and most of the concessions and gratuities, those go back into the team, into the fans, into merchandise. They can't pour it into the stadium. They can't pour it into the things that the NFL and the stadium people are supposed to offer. So they have to, something has to be sacrificed. And the fact that they're having to sacrifice state-of-the-art equipment is the saddest part of this, because they're having to pay out the nose just to stay in a dump.
Right, and the other thing is, remember that the Raiders are a tenant in this. That's not their stadium. They are a tenant. And as you said, the money goes back into the team, not the stadium. And Hector makes a good point and said that the city of Oakland broke promises to Al Davis for years. And, again, as I said, he left for L.A. And even when L.A. couldn't do the things that they said that they were going to do, that's why Irwindale was an option for about 15 minutes. I mean, the Raiders have been looking for the bigger, better deal for quite a long time, and they're finally getting it.
I agree. The only thing I really, my heart hurts right now, because I have so many friends that live down in Oakland and are, they've been going to these games for 20, 25 years since the team was back. And some of them even longer, because they're older. They remember going before they moved to LA. And it kind of just hurts my heart listening to my friends talk about the fact that they're never going to be able to go to another home game. They're not going to be able to enjoy the Black Hole anymore. And tailgating and the community. And the city of Oakland has ripped that away from them.
Yeah, and I tell you what, the thing that was sucking is that when Libby Schaff makes a Twitter comment talking about the Billionaire Boys Club and all of the crap that was spewing out of that Twitter comment. I mean, Libby, get real, get with reality. You, Mayor Kwan, Jerry Brown, every mayor that's been through Oakland has been paying lip service to the Raiders, Raider Nation, and all of the people there. I get it. And they're hooking for votes that we tried to do this, we tried to do that. It was all lip service. It was never any heartfelt promises. They've always kowtowed to the A's, because the A's have 162 games, of which 81 are home. That they have more of a liking towards them. The fact that the Warriors are a NFL, NBA champion, and they're leaving for San Francisco. The A's need to get out. Nobody is staying in Oakland, and that is an indication of the politics in Oakland. It's an indication of what was done by the city council, all the other folks that are there. And again, I have no problem with the fact that the taxpayers didn't want to put any more coin into anything. They didn't do anything. They've been paying promises and lip service and crap for years and years and years. And it's finally caught up to them. And that's why this is a cash grab by Shaft and everybody else trying to get money from the NFL. And I hope, if anything, that, of course, they're going to lose this lawsuit. Okay. Mm-hmm. And again, I feel bad for I got a lot of buddies that are there. I feel bad for them. But it's just that it's heartfelt that they're going to lose the team again. But blame it on the politics, man. Blame it on the politicians that didn't do crap.
Well, let me say, though, they don't want to, the taxpayers don't want to put any more money in, but they're going to be putting money in. And they have nothing to show for it because, like you said, Libby Schaff and her minions, whatever, had no interest in dealing with either the Davis family or the Raiders organization or the NFL, whoever it was. But it sounds like it's all three of them. You brought up the tweet, and I want to read it to you.
Go ahead.
And I'll read you my response, which is apparently very popular.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Got like 200 retweets on it.
Nice.
She says, the NFL's Billionaires Boy Club ditched Oakland out of sheer greed and left taxpayers with millions in unpaid stadium debt. Our community's support and loyalty were met with nothing but bad faith. Today we're standing up for residents, taxpayers, and fans. And I can tell you every single fan on there called her a liar and full of crap. I retweeted this, and my comment was, and you can comment on this if you'd like. I said, how delusional and dishonest. You're the reason Oakland lost its biggest source of revenue. You have to renew $85 million in bonds the city already had. Now it's the Raiders' fault. Every proposal to stay was rejected, but hey, not your fault. Residents pay 20 years of taxes for nothing. And that's the bottom line. You have already screwed the residents of the city of Oakland. You have already walked all over them and said, "Oh, we're going to charge all this money, but I swear to God, it's the Raiders' fault." You renewed every single one of those bonds. You said you were going to do construction, and you did none of it. So I have no love lost for the city of Oakland at all.
Wow. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. And the funny thing is that you live in Alaska. I live in the Tampa area. Elle lives in Orlando. And we understand what sort of putrid nonsense the garbage that is coming out of Shaft's mouth, the garbage that's coming out of Kwan's mouth, the garbage that's been coming out of Brown's mouth, all of this crap that's been spewing, much like the crap that's been spewing literally out of the Coliseum for years.
Look, Jerry Brown has been spewing crap and God knows what else out of his mouth for the last 40 years. That's why he changed his name.
I was going to say, I think the only good thing that Jerry Brown ever did was he hooked up with Linda Ronstadt, and quote me on that.
And that's back when he was governor the first time, when his name was Edmund G. Brown Jr.
There you go.
Yeah, see, I'm also a former California resident. I was born and raised there.
So you feel this?
SoCal
I mean, this is
Cal.
like, yeah. Well, you feel this pain. You know what's going on.
Yeah, this is a bunch of garbage. Because, you know, the reality of it is bottom line. You know, damn what you hear and F what you heard. The reality of it is this. They had 41 years, 41, to build this damn stadium, and they didn't do it. It's not the Raiders' fault. It's the Raiders' fault. It was Al. If you want to blame Al for something, blame Al for going back in the first place. Because the bottom line is he had a better deal to go to San Antonio. We already had the color scheme of the team that was already there and everything. Raider would have been perfect. But the bottom line is we're Cali born and Cali bred. We're a West Coast team. We're not a Southern team. We're not a Southwest team. We're a West Coast team. We ride in the West. So we went back to Oakland. Then we go back. We honor our history, we honor our legacy, and what do we get for that? We get a bunch of gum bumping lip service from a bunch of non-sports fans. They capitalized and tried to make a money move. So what do they do for the next, 20 years? A bunch of lies. They try to pull the wool over their eyes, and so what happened? The original dream of Al Davis was to move the team to Las Vegas, but no professional sports team, no professional anything was willing to move to Vegas. But now, professional sports has got a different look on the city. And instead of moving it to Phoenix, the closest they could get to Vegas, now they can go straight to the source. And now every league is clamoring to get there. So in reality, they played their cards, and unfortunately they got cut. So now, the first team to bounce on them was the Warriors. The Warriors are in Frisco. They tried to get the Sharks, and the Sharks didn't even do it. The Sharks are in San Jose. Because they didn't fall for the okie doke. Because they tried to get the stadium. They tried to get them to go into the stadium that the Warriors are in. And they were like, oh, hell no. Those owners got the stadium built in San Jose, which is where the Warriors were going to go, but then they got a better deal to go back across the bay.
Actually, where they were originally from, I will say.
Right, they were the San Francisco Warriors first.
That's right.
And then, the one that they thought would never leave, we got the biggest deal out of everybody. And the thing was, last week, about 10 days ago, they finally decided, or at least they bumped their gums to say that they were going to build the A's a downtown facility now, because Vegas had started contract talks with the A's ownership to build a baseball stadium in Las Vegas.
And I can tell you this, as Oakland folks might not know, the Raiders are the only team that Oakland could call its own. because both the Warriors and the Athletics
Philadelphia
are from Philadelphia, baby, with the A's going through Kansas City in between. The Raiders are the original team in Oakland, and they are bouncing just like everybody else did. It's just the way it is. It's a shame. And everybody that's a member of the 66th Street Mob and all the other folks that were forever Oakland, I get it. It hurts, but that's just the way it is. We're not haters. We're realists and pragmatists, and we keep things real. At least that's the way I see it. Again, I feel bad for everybody, but it's the way it is, and the Raiders have been deserving of a brand new state-of-the-art stadium for the longest time. And I'm sure you've even seen the Ann Killian article about the dead mice that were found in the Coke dispensers in the for the press area. I mean, that tells you about the quality of the stadium. Go ahead, Andrea. I'm sorry I cut you off.
No, I was just agreeing with you that there were 2 dead mice found just last weekend, in one weekend. I mean, that was one day. How many more mice are in there? It's just pathetic.
Well, I tell you what, when I go out there for the Christmas game, not that I've ever been a want to buy anything that's stadium food. You damn sure know I ain't buying crap from that stadium for that last game. I ain't doing it. I'll suffer from desert heat water rationing before I even get anything.
Well, you know the beer's
stadium.
safe because it's coming out of taps.
Well, I don't know. Anything, I tell you what. Let's kind of parlay this to the next subject. That obviously it goes with it. Andrea, where are we playing next year in your estimation?
San Antonio.
So your guess is San Antonio. Okay, why on that one?
I have pretty good authority that they're the front runners right now.
Okay.
It's happened before.
San Antonio, San Diego would be another option. Other than that, we might end up at a high school football stadium or something. That's just me being cheeky, but
I got you. I also heard, what was it, like 2 weeks ago, the what is it? The breaking news was the fact that we might be going to Fresno.
possibly. I haven't heard that one as a real possibility yet, but there are a ton of them. So, according to Mark Davis, I believe it was today, saying that we have several options that we have to entertain for next year.
Okay. Well, like I said, I know. I don't care where it is. If it's Timbuktu, although the flight arrangements would be a little bit hasty on that one to actually go to the wilds of Africa, although they are playing in London, so why not Timbuktu? But
I'd rather the Mexico City game.
No. We'll actually, that's a good segue there, Al. But we're going to get to that. That's a little bit later. You're saying San Antonio from your sources. I can say that. I mean, whether it be San Diego, whether it be San Antonio, whether it be Phoenix, whether it be Fresno, whether it be Timbuktu, Captain Jack will be there, and we'll all be supporting the Raiders.
Portland.
Oh, Portland is another possibility as well. That'd be closer to you, Andrea, as well.
Yeah.
But see, the thing about Portland, though, is a stadium.
Well, I don't they got a stadium?
They have a Duck stadium.
They'd end up having to play at Oregon or Oregon State. Portland doesn't have a NFL-ready stadium where they'd have a team.
Oregon is like 5 minutes across. You can drive that thing in. It's nothing. Give me a break.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, well, no. Stanford said no because they're scared of the fans.
Yeah.
Or was that Berkeley?
Berkeley. Berkeley's scared of the fans. Stanford is pretty much tapped out as far as dates, so they're not a viable option. And that the Raiders are not going to share a stadium with the Niners for 15 minutes, let alone 8 games. Not happening.
They won't let us in there because they know we tear the place up.
There you go.
On purpose.
On purpose. That's true. Okay. Now, the second, and I was going to say the first big news of the week, and now it's been relegated to the second big news of the week, is the firing of Reggie McKenzie. I tell you this, Raider Nation, this is my thoughts on this. I have a soft spot, or at least an affinity for saying that Reggie did some really, really good things. He didn't do some things that he probably should have done. And, it's kind of like a 50-50 proposition. I'll give him his props when he did well. I'll say that he done screwed up quite a bit as well. But I have no ill will towards Reggie McKenzie. He, the old motto of once a Raider, always a Raider, he'll be with me in that respect. In fact, I saw him after the game on Sunday at the Hilton Oakland Airport, and Reggie was not wearing any colors at all. Which was kind of like the old thing. Remember when Kiffin went to the combine and he wasn't wearing anything black, silver, or anything with a Raider logo on it? I found it quite
telling.
Telling. Thank you. That was the word I was looking for. I found it quite telling that Reggie McKenzie is at the Hilton Oakland Airport without anything with a shield or a pirate on it. Again, I've given mine. Your thoughts on Reggie McKenzie's firing and what that means for the Raiders in your thoughts there, Angria?
I think it was just time. I think he served his purpose, and I will always appreciate Reggie for what he did, and I think what he tried to do, but ultimately he's just not a talent guy. He's not a scout. He is a money guy, and he did what he could to get us out of our cap issue. And we're there. We're finally there. And we have a franchise quarterback now who's being paid appropriately. And I mean, the first franchise quarterback drafted in Raiders history. So he's done some things right. He really has. But like I said, he's a money man. We don't need the money man right now. We need talent. We need someone who can back up Gruden and go out and find him the talent that he wants. This year's draft was so drastically different than every other draft that Reggie has overseen because he didn't oversee this one. It was Gruden. And I think we have a good 50% shot just out of this draft alone of having at least 3 all-pro players. And, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal.
And I also... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm finished.
Okay, and I was going to say 3 all-pro players that will be not flash in the pan, but perennial all-pro players, and at least 3 or 4 more serviceable players that are going to be on this team for the foreseeable future. And then also players that are in their second and third year that in the previous coaching regime were basically oxygen thieves that are forming into their talent and their skill sets are actually being
employed,
seen now because of the absolute just tear down and complete reconstruction of just saying at about week 5, screw it, we're getting rid of the cancers. We're getting rid of the people that don't want to play. People can say, oh, it was a great trade by Dallas. No, it was a dump by us in recouping our first-round pick. It depends on the way you want to look at it. Because, we always knew that Amari Cooper could do what he's doing. He just wasn't doing it here, which to me is indicative of how much of a shitbag he is because he didn't put forth the effort here to do what he's doing now.
He just didn't care.
Exactly.
I mean, he just looked like he didn't care about his job.
Dak Prescott doesn't do or a scheme change that he's not happy with doesn't happen, he's going to start pouting and having a baby again. So that's the thing for me that, okay, so, and then the other thing, to you fans out there that were so happy to see Reggie get fired. I want to say shame on you, but the biggest thing that's been exposed, especially this year, is how many fake bandwagon-ass fans that were supposed Raider fans that were out there. Half of you probably didn't even know the man played for us. That he sweat, and he earned that silver and black for life. With his blood, sweat, tears, grit, and grime. He is a Raider, and he always will be.
Yeah, I mean...
So, for the fact that y'all are out there bemoaning, belly aching, bitching, and whining, sitting in your garages at the base of your mama's stairs, all that other bull. You know what? I mean, I can't get fingers long enough. I hope your proctologist sneezes while he's working on you.
Ew.
And he punctures your brain.
Sometimes you go a little too far.
No, I'm just being descriptive. That's just,
I think
sometimes you just
too
gotta
far.
do it. I can't say exactly what I want because I'm not. I have a broader vocabulary and a broader descriptive mind than to just be too childish to have to put a parental advisory sticker on our damn show.
Well, I was going to say the only thing that I would probably add to that is I had the vision of Fletch going to the proctologist saying, "Hey, using all 5 fingers there, doc?" You know, it's like. I mean, wow, that was descriptive, but yeah. And by the way, Tim comes in with a really good comment. And again, thanks for showing up there, Raider Tim. He says, and I quote, Randy Moss did the same thing in 2006. By the way, he is exactly right. He was bitching, moaning, groaning about, the Raiders this, and I don't get any calls, and I can't do anything, that I was getting away with. I mean, this was the Randy Moss mentality, which is why my Randy Moss jerseys, of which I have 2 of them, both of them in an elite style. One of them has already been changed to say my old name, which was on the back of it, and the other one I've kept intact only because I'm waiting to get a nice, redress where it'll say Jaeger. And I'm going to send it to Jeff so Jeff can sign it for me. So I tell you what, I can't wait to get rid of that Randy Moss jersey and have Jeff sign it because 18 is 18 and I respect Jeff a hell of a lot more than I don't respect Randy Moss. And remember, Randy Moss is not a Raider. Warren Sapp is not a Raider because they don't profess to be Raiders. And I tell you, unfortunately, I think that we're going to feel that way about Amari Cooper too because he just does not have the proper attitude nor the intestinal fortitude. Yeah, he's playing for a contract, but his whole attitude just reeks of non-caring.
Mm-hmm. And you just said something and it escaped my brain.
Contract year.
I know. I figured it out. Hold on. My memory works fine.
Go ahead.
I was talking to my dad the other day. You said something about he does not profess to be a Raider. I was talking to my dad the other day, and I was telling him that Marcus Allen generally considers himself a Raider Hall of Famer. I mean, every time I've seen him out, every time I've seen him, doing something, he still considers himself a Raider. And he was shocked by that. And, I mean, this is the huge difference. He ended his career in Kansas City, but he never felt like a Chief.
No.
And, I mean, there are those people that are just always with this team. Charles Woodson is the ultimate example of that.
Oh, yeah, I mean, especially after the guy was whistling the autumn wind and he got blown up by Seawood after the game. I mean, that just tells you all you need to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he won a Super Bowl ring, and but there was no love. Like he didn't lose any love for the city of Oakland, for the team, nothing. He loved John Gruden, he loved Al Davis. He came back and gave everything to them that he could. So I mean that's an ultimate example. I do believe that Marcus Allen might have done that too if he hadn't retired. You never know. But these are guys that always profess to be Raiders. You don't think of them as Packers or Chiefs or whatever.
No. Mm-mm. And Warren Sapp is a Buck. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. He'll always be a Buccaneer. He'll even say it.
Mm-hmm.
He may claim Raiders if we had, like, cheerleaders that were willing to,
Don't go there.
Oh, hey! Let's move on now.
Don't go there, shipmate. I mean, I got to rein you in. Wow. Anyway, all quiet on the Western Front. We went over a lot of the main points, and I tell you, one of the good things that we're going, like I said, we're looking towards Vegas. So 2 things that we need to be reminded of is obviously the Raiders are going there in 2020, But the NFL is also going there in 2020, as it was just announced today that the NFL draft will be out there in April of 2020, which is the cap-off year to show what Vegas really is, and they're gonna go all out with the NFL draft going there in 2020, and that's always going to be a positive thing. Hitting the season. I mean, just to get the Raiders out there, I can't wait until it actually happens. I mean, I wish I can go through a time machine and say that we can skip 2019. Am I going to be there, Captain? For what there, Tim? You said, am I going to be there? Out in Vegas? Sure. I'm always going to be out in Vegas. At least for my PSLs and whatnot. And yeah, I'm there. For the draft for 2020, sure, I'll be out there for the 2020 draft. And in fact, I'm going to be out there for the 2019 draft out in Nashville. Looking forward to it. But we definitely need to get Angria out to a game, because every time Angria is out for a game, they win. So I guess I had the good luck this past time, honey. You weren't out there, but I was out there for the Steelers, and it was only because I was in the front row that we won.
I rubbed off on you and sent all the luck with you.
Yeah.
It's because I was on the show last week.
I'm sorry?
It's because I was on the show last week.
Of course. I mean, because you took your 6-week hiatus, and now you're back with us, and we love you for it.
Yeah.
Well,
that was all that extra juice on the huckleberry. That's what it was.
Yeah.
All right. Now, let's go and do a quick overview. And I was going to say, we kind of touched on it earlier. We were talking about Ben's injury, but I tell you, it was not to his butt. Okay.
No, it wasn't his butt. It was his vagina.
Okay. Anyway, we touched on it. Angry. I mean, you can just saw the synopsis of the game. I mean, I'm sure you can pull the stats, but just give me a feel for how you actually took that game last week.
I took that game like we were actually playing a game. Like, this is a team that looks like they are all in for Gruden, and they're finally putting it on the field. You watch two men that have not performed to their potential, that we knew had that potential. Carl Joseph and Gary Conley have been working their butts off the last 3 or 4 weeks. Working their butts off. Gary Conley was the highest rated corner this week on PFF. The highest rated, which one? I don't know. He was, he had like an 88 something in the PFF grade, which I don't know what that means on PFF. They still can't explain it to me. I need that math, but that's pretty damn good. These are two guys that would not perform. Didn't do anything. Carl Joseph, 2 years, he didn't do much of anything. We knew it was in him. And Conley, he was both of these guys are first round picks that were possibly being shopped. And I mean, nobody would bite for a first or a first and a second or whatever it was that they were asking for. But now these guys are looking like, you know what, you're worth a first round pick. You did it. Somebody had to kick them in the butt and do this. And it looks like they've done it. And now we're looking at a Derek Carr quarterback who looks like a franchise quarterback again. He's getting back to his 2016 numbers, even with almost 4 times the amount of sacks that he's taken this year. So something flipped. Some switch has flipped, and it looks like this team wants to be, they don't want to be called a tanking team anymore.
No,
they're sick of it.
They're definitely not tanking, and I even seen it. Actually, what I think proper English is it saw it. Angry? I know you're the Nazi here.
I saw it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It was. I saw it with the effort that Johnny Townsend had, even as the punt game last week. Like I said, I told you guys, let it go. He was the best punter in football at Florida a couple years ago. I said, hey, even what is it? Our boy Shane Leckler didn't have a great first year. It took him a year to flow into the NFL game. Even the clown Marquette King. Yeah, I'm sorry I had to evoke that name. Even the clown Marquette King was put on IR with a hangnail in order for him to be kept on the team while Leckler was on his first year because he didn't get it the first year. Townsend is showed his worth. He showed it a couple weeks ago with that wonderful fake punt where he rambled for, I think, about 25, 30 yards or so, or a little bit
26,
longer.
I believe.
I'm sorry, what was that, hon?
I think it was 26 yards, yeah.
Yeah, it was a wonderful gain, and I tell you, if he would have had a little bit more room, he probably would have went for a little bit, and he did have somebody trucking in front of him too, but it was just the way that the play was, and that gives me a good segue in the fact that play by Townsend a couple weeks ago shows how this team is actually growing, and I'm saying it because of this. There was a piece that I was reading where Gruden is actually giving Carr a little bit more of the option to play within himself and not be so reticent in, playing the Gruden way. I mean, your thoughts on that, Angria?
I can see that on the field. I can see that he's he's trusting him. So to me, it looks like he appreciates and he understands that Derek's a smart quarterback. He's not stupid, and it's not like he's been failing this season miserably because he's incompetent or he's a bad quarterback. He is a very good quarterback. He is damn near elite, and he can be if he's put in a system consistently, and he's getting it. He's picking up the system. Even like 10, 15-year vets of the NFL say that Gruden has a complicated playbook. We all know that, common knowledge. There's nothing simple about that. So to have him understand well enough and be able to get the confidence of John Gruden to say, you take the reins, this is your team, that's a huge step, and I think that's a very good indicator of what we're going to see in the future. Derek Carr is a great quarterback. He's John Gruden's quarterback. I still don't know why all this discussion of trade is happening, because it's not going to happen. John Gruden and Derek Carr are going to be married forever. I'm just convinced of that. But I just think it's a huge indicator that he's allowing him to step out and say and be his own quarterback, because he trusts him enough. He knows that he's got the skills and he knows he can do it.
I was going to say, Tim asked the question of, is Carr elite? Do you think so?
I think he can be. I don't think he's there yet, because I don't think he's had enough opportunity to play at that level. I think all the challenges that have been thrown at him, whether you believe him or not, if you have a different boss every single year and you have to learn a different way to put together a big project every single year, you're not going to do a great job. And if you have to find different people to work with every single year, you're not going to do a good job. That's not going to be your best time. You can't be elite and you can't be a top level if you have constant change everywhere. And given the fact that the 2 years he had in the same system, he was elite. He was an MVP candidate. He still got votes to be an MVP after he had broken his leg. He's still got votes. We know he can play at that level. And if he's given the opportunity, if he's given the weapons, and if he's given the protection that he needs, then he can do this.
And the perfect storm of, after his leg was broke, and then his system changed.
Started
his
with the
personnel started to change, and then the one person that he could depend on started giving a complete half effort that ultimately culminated in him getting traded, 4 weeks ago. And the effort that he once gave here reappeared once he whined and half-assed his way out of here. And so then the reality comes up and he starts bearing his soul that he just didn't like things here. So he had to, they changed his diaper or whatever feminine product he had rammed up his keister. And so these are all legitimate things. I mean, the quarterback that earned that salary is starting to play that way again. And there was a combination of things. One, he was getting used to a system. He had to get comfortable in that system. And then he had to get the confidence in the fact that his leg was okay. Well, what's going to get you more confident than getting knocked on your behind the most times that you've ever gotten knocked on your ass in your entire career? And, if it didn't break this year, it ain't going to break. And once he got over that, he's starting to play like the quarterback that we all knew and loved his first 2 years in the league.
Yeah, and actually, as an old offensive lineman, I'd like to chime in on something here as well, in the fact that the grit that the O-line showed. In fact, if you guys don't know, John Feliciano is gone for the year on the IR. I mean, but you can see at the end of the game last week that he gritted it out. Both him and Jackson were injured on that final drive where they got the touchdown to Carrier. And actually, Carr was there to help Feliciano off the field, and Feliciano did not leave the field until the Raiders got that touchdown. I mean, and again, these are the people that are playing for each other. The team is gelling. I said it at the beginning of the year that it was going to take quite a bit of a while for the offense to get in and sync with Gruden's offense, and it took a while for people in the defense to actually start flying around to the ball the way they were supposed to. And oh, by the way, they played a hell of a lot better since a certain linebacker wearing number 51 has been gone too. So again, it's the getting the right players with the right system, with the right mentality, the
right
offense
attitude.
is right. The offense is getting it, the defense is getting it, and I think as a whole, this team has got nothing but ups to show. I firmly believe, and I'm not smoking anything, I firmly believe that this team has the opportunity to go into Cincinnati and get a win, to go into the last game in Oakland, which is going to be a very, very emotional game for this team, and get a win. And they can even go into Kansas City and spoil Kansas City's effort for possibly a 1 seed, because they have the fortitude, they have the wherewithal, they have the ability that is being shown. This team can go on a 4-game winning streak. And I
gosh
firmly
darn
believe
it, people like them.
That's true.
All right, Stuart.
I'm good enough. I'm small
I'm
enough.
smart enough.
And
doggone
gosh
it.
darn it, people like me, except for the folks in Minnesota who will eventually vote me out of office.
Well, who cares about the people in Minnesota? Did you see the gas pipe that they were gagging on all Monday night?
Nope.
Oh, my goodness. Minnesota. I can't use words that are not.
Yep, I was going to say,
Yeah.
let's try to keep it on the PG-13 level,
Dude,
not even go to R.
Look, carbon monoxide couldn't have killed how bad they were on Monday night.
And again, yeah, actually that'll be things that we'll be able to talk about after the season when I'm going to be transitioning, and hopefully I can get some people to come along. Again, we could talk about the Raiders all the time, but eventually you got to transition when the Raiders are gone. So again, I'm putting it out here. The captain will be doing a show in the off season. It'll be an all sports show. So hopefully if you're joining us here, we'll be able to have you guys call in, and hopefully, and see, Tim says, thanks, my kid is in the room, keep it PG-13, shipmate.
Hey, Tim.
Yes, sir.
I have no problem with that.
Well, use your big
the
vocabulary.
captain. As long as
you don't say Reggie Nelson,
I wasn't even going to say his name.
That's right.
Speaking
no
of which,
will fly.
Can I
go
segue
ahead
for
there,
that for a second?
I'm going. Go ahead, hon.
That's a nice segue because Reggie Nelson wasn't on the field this last week, and you know what our secondary did?
They played effectively.
Killed their passing game.
There you go.
Yeah.
Gary and Conley held Antonio Brown to, I believe it was 32 yards.
Let
Yes.
me see. I got the stats right here. Receiving, Antonio Brown. You were close.
35 yards
35
on 5
yards.
receptions.
You were there in the ballpark, hon.
Between he and Worley, they were passing him around like one of them.
Don't say
Colorado, Washington, California.
The town bicycle.
Yeah, that one.
There we go.
See, yeah. Thank you for the save,
Yeah.
my dear.
I tell you what, though, they do have to work on Schuster because Schuster killed us in 8 for 130 at 16.3, the 2 touchdowns, and then of course you talk about being the was it, is he the ladder or the hook on that?
No,
play?
he was the hook.
Okay.
No, he was the ladder.
That's what I thought. He was the ladder on that pin. Oh, good. Antonio Brown is a bum. I agree with you there.
Yeah, but see,
Tim.
the thing is, the only thing that bothered me was why are we playing a prevent? It was 15 seconds left.
Well, I actually was looking for something along those lines, so it didn't surprise me when you have a guy that is as fast as James Washington on the field, when you have a guy that is elusive as Schuster, who had that wonderful game. You know, I was looking for something like
play
that.
3 deep, but man up so you can chuck them off the line.
Well, I tell you what, whatever it was, the fact that Charlie Brown was in there at kicker for the Steelers at the very end of the game, with Lucy holding, was really good for us.
As I stated, and I screamed it at our watch party down there at King's Bowling Alley, it's a high-end bowling alley for you out there, for those of you out there that don't know.
That sounds a little bit oxymoronic.
No, you got to understand, it's on I-Drive down here in Orlando. It's like disgustingly snooty. It has private bowling alleys.
Ooh.
Oh,
Okay,
Lord.
so it's like Splitsville, but only better?
Yes.
Okay.
And it has like the neon, like all of that. You can like segregate. They were actually having a Christmas party in one section of the place. So we had to like turn the game up to drown out the Christmas music because they like sectioned off one part of the place.
I got it.
See? High end.
High end. I can
But-
give him that there, Angria.
And so I yelled, "Thank you, City of Oakland, for not giving us a stadium," because you realize where he slipped.
Oh, yeah.
He slipped on second base.
Yep.
He slipped in the dirt
Well,
because it was high tide and we're below sea level.
exactly. And I said the fact that the wonderful amenities of the Oakland Coliseum being below sea level won the game for Boswell. And the Steelers were out there auditioning kickers this year. I remember, or not this year, this week, is that Boswell is making $4 million a year. The same amount, by the way, that I will remind you that a certain X-Raider kicker was making, and one of the reasons why he's not here. Now, again, having said that, he's playing quite well for the Seahawks, and
Yeah.
I'll say Jano's name because I have no ill will.
I don't have
towards
any
Jano.
ill will towards for Janikowski.
Yeah, no ill will towards Jano, but not at $4 million a year. And I tell you what, if you're Boswell, I hope that you got that money banked because your butt's about ready to be canned. Hey, Angry, are you about ready to roll into the game of the week of the one that we got upcoming?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to start this out by saying only that the Bengals.
The Cincinnati cereal salesman.
Okay, there you go.
Alrighty.
The Bengals are quarterbacked by the son of a dude that I went to elementary school, junior high school, and high school. So
Okay, we got
Jerry Driscoll's son. God, what is his first name? It's Jerry's kid. It is Jerry's kid. Jeff. There you go.
Yeah.
Jeff Driscoll will be on the not on the mound. Boy, I have a mixture of metaphors between your second base and on the mound for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, if we were playing in Oakland, he'd be on the mound.
He would be on the mound. But Jeff Driscoll will be starting for the injured redhead Andy Dalton. E.J. Green is also out for the Bengals. Like I told you, I have a very, very strong feeling that the Raiders are going to go into Cincinnati. It's not going to be ever omnipresently cold. Thank God. I was told that it's going to be in the 40s, which isn't bad. I mean, we can deal with a 40-degree temperature. I mean, it's not like the ice game of Cincinnati and San Diego for the AFC Championship. It's a winnable game. And your thoughts again of the Bungles that are now again the Bungles. First off, before we go into that, do you think that Marvin Lewis will actually survive another year, Andrea?
Probably not. Yeah, I can't see it. I don't know. The team did what they similarly do pretty regularly, and they started out really hot and looked really good, and then down and down and down and down. And I don't know how you can maintain the level of mediocrity that he has, but he's done it very well. And but I don't know that the Bengals are interested in keeping that level any longer.
And of course, if you don't remember, the Bengals had hired a certain gentleman by the name of Hugh Jackson, that is the offensive assistant to Marvin Lewis. Maybe they were actually thinking ahead.
Perhaps they were.
Tim seems to think that Marvin Lewis is going to die with the team. So we'll find out there, Tim. I mean, we'll have a. I tell you what, you and Angria could have a Coke bet because your kid's in the room. Angria, would you like to make a Coke bet with Raider Tim that you say Lewis is gone and he says he's gonna last another year?
Sure. It's one of the cheap Cokes from Walmart, though, right?
Okay, what was that though?
Just kidding.
Oh, you're talking like Shasta or
yeah,
something like that?
Hey, Shasta was the top brand back in the day.
Back in the day.
Okay.
Do they even have Shasta anymore? That's like
you could
RC
probably
Cola.
find it somewhere.
It's
I think you should go
Sam's.
for a cool, refreshing
Sam's
RC
soda,
Cola.
and that's what it is. It's Sam's soda.
RC. Oh man, no, that's Southern Cola there, shipmate.
Yeah, well, you know.
You get an RC Cola with a moon pie. Oh my God, you're in hog heaven.
Well, I know what a moon is on the West Coast.
Yeah, I know, different. Anyway,
right,
Raider Tim says it'll
gentlemen.
be a cheap Coke. It'll be a 50 center. So you guys got a 50-cent Coke bet for that. Okay,
that would be a Sam's choice.
I'm a witness. Yeah, it's a Sam's choice there, Tim.
I second that witness.
Okay, so you got two witnesses, Tim. Tim and Angria, a Sam's choice cola for it, whether Marvin Lewis survives. Okay,
my vote is, I don't know, maybe the statute of limitations on the pictures he has of somebody have expired.
I was going to say, I mean, because remember, there's been plenty of Raiders that stayed on the team for quite a while because I think they had some pictures that they probably shouldn't have had.
Well, once we changed coaches, I think the right person in the front office was gone.
Yeah.
And the oxygen thieves just they all left within a 2-week period.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, well, they either left in the preseason because, and by the way, love the comment that Tim made about how Marquette King's little dance was a predecessor to him showing how much of a clown, a rodeo-type clown he really was. So that's a great comment there, Tim, and thank you for expressing that.
Either that or his... his tribute to K-pop. I was going to say K-pop.
Okay.
K-pop.
Just wanted to make sure.
Because he wanted to go Gangnam Style.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. Reel you in.
No, see, I don't get that far off the dock that
just
much
not
anymore.
Reggie Nelson. Yeah, okay.
But also Tommy Beard, he was the one, he posted that due to the lawsuit and everything about 20 minutes ago, maybe about a half hour now, that the Raiders officially took Oakland off the list of possibilities for playing next year. So they will not be playing in Oakland.
Period. They did that yesterday.
Oh, I thought they did that today. Because
No,
I just
yesterday.
saw it posted today.
I believe that was struck yesterday as soon as they got served with paperwork.
Oh, I thought that. Well, it was reported that an official said that there will be no way that we will play if they file the lawsuit. And today I think it was made official that they took all possibility of playing in Oakland off the table.
No ifs, ands, or buts. I'm sorry, Angry. You got stepped on. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I was just agreeing.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no possibility whatsoever.
Yeah, and the thing, and like Captain Jack and I, we were talking right before we came on, which is kind of messed up because the thing that's lost in all of this is the stadium authority is not attached in this lawsuit. The stadium authority has nothing to do with this. This is the city.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the people that run the stadium are like, they're the ones basically that are sitting out there screwed because the team was negotiating with them to come back, and now that the city's done this, they're like, up later.
Yep.
And so now it's like the city has invested nothing into this. They lied to everybody involved, but now they want to sue? This is a meritless lawsuit, and if anything, a judge is going to reprimand them for filing it.
Yeah, I tell you what, though, and not that I want to get back too far off base, because like I said, the lawsuit is the lawsuit. It's meritless, it's pointless, it's pathetic. But getting back to the game upcoming in Cincinnati.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah, because there is a football game this weekend. There is the most important portion of the fact is that this is a homecoming for Mr. Paul Guenther as he goes into Cincinnati knowing what he will be up against, again, as a defensive coordinator, or at least a defensive assistant, then to coordinator under Marvin Lewis for all of these years. You know, I think he was there for at least, 8 to 10 years or so, if I'm not mistaken. So he knows exactly what the Raiders are going to be facing. I mean, granted, he doesn't have Andy Dalton throwing the ball, so Driscoll is a little bit of an unknown, but the playbook is there. So, I mean, that is one of the reasons why I give the Raiders a pretty easy victory here. Raider Tim agrees with me. He says Oakland 27, Cincinnati 17. I mean, again,
I don't know if they're going to score 17. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, then, and I was going to say, do you think that well, I will say this, that the Bengals actually played a decent turnaround game with the Garglers last week. So, you know, with them being in the game, Andrea, again, I'm pretty sure I know where you're going with this, but again, your thoughts on the upcoming game, Oakland and Cincinnati, go.
I am not going to predict, because if I have to predict, I'm going to say we're going to lose. And that's because the last couple of weeks I predicted we were going to lose and we almost won and then we won. So, yeah, I don't want to make a prediction. I really don't. I'm reticent to do that. It's just, I think we're going to play well, but it's going to be tough. Like you said, Paul Guenther's homecoming. So Hugh Jackson is in there. He's played against Paul Guenther for how many years now? Marvin Lewis obviously knows Paul Guenther's playbook. So it depends on, I mean, personnel is obviously different in Oakland than it was in Cincinnati. However, there's a certain amount of familiarity you have with how people do things. And it'll be dependent on whether which one of the coaches can trick the other coach better, I guess. So if Paul Guenther can pull something over on Marvin Lewis, I suspect he probably can. Or if Marvin Lewis and Hugh Jackson get together and put their heads together and figure something out.
Well,
I do, however, think that Gruden's offense will probably annihilate the Bengals defense.
Okay, I'm hoping so. I mean, the Bengals defense has lost quite a bit since then. Against our secondary, the Red Rifle could be a marksman by Monday morning. I don't know how to take that, Tim.
Well, the Red Rifle
is Dalton.
Well, I know.
Yeah.
I know. I was going to say the Red Rifle has pretty much been dismantled and sent off to the factory for
refurbishment,
retooling. Yeah.
I mean, he had the how do you go rewrite?
He's getting recalibrated.
There was the rifling in the barrel definitely needs to be redone.
Yeah, he needs to be.
But see, without EJ Green as well, I don't see how they have, especially with the way our defense is now playing. I think that we really got this.
Yeah, but I don't want to say I don't want to say.
Not, I mean, any given Sunday, I get it, okay, and I don't want to be too optimistic. I just see that we should win. I actually called last week. I told you guys I called the game against the Steelers a win. I didn't call a score. Obviously, it was tight, but I just see just like I'm not going to call a score this week. I just see a Raider victory against the Bengals. Andrea says now you're doing that out of karma, Angria, just to make sure that the good karma continues to flow. I take it.
No comment.
Okay. No comments. Good. We'll go with that. Okay. Well, then L, go ahead.
I'm going to say that we're actually playing a team that, even with injuries, our personnel is actually comparable to theirs, if not maybe a little better. That's weird. Our coach. I mean, look, if Marvin Lewis has a job 15 minutes after the end of this season, y'all need to get right with Jesus, because obviously this man has signed a deal with the devil, and the devil is real. It's not, I don't know. As far as, I'm confident that positive things are going to happen. I don't want to say what I feel those positive things are. Raider Tim, are you betting me a Coke as well? Because I'm highfalutin. I don't do 50 cent. You're going to have to come with me with one of them dollar jobs. It can be a can.
There's the bet there, Tim. With now you got a Coke, you got a what is it, a Shasta?
I'm not a cheap
Walmart
date.
special.
I mean, I'm going to need at least a Shasta, maybe even an RC.
Okay, so you got a Walmart special against Angria. Now you're going to have to come with name brand minimum Shasta for Big L, Tim. But Tim, you said that we're going to win 27-17. So you're saying that basically Driscoll makes our defense look like it still needs to work some under Gunther. I'm trying to figure out what the bet is.
I think our defense, and remember now, we did this without
Hurst,
Maurice Hurst last week.
Oh, okay. There's okay.
No, I will take that bet.
Okay. Tim has come in. He said that Marvin Lewis is the coach long enough to see the Raiders in Vegas. There's the other bet. But remember, Tim, it's minimum Shasta. Minimum Shasta, RC at a minimum. So you got to get, he made a 15 seconds, was it a 15-cent comment about Lewis? Okay.
No, my man.
No.
Nope.
Tim, if you're going to make a bet with me, and I rarely make bets, in fact, because people know this, and unless I know I'm going to be 100% right, I never make a bet against anybody, because I'm not going to make a bet under something I can't control. So if I say I bet you, you best believe I know I'm right. Anyway, I say the Raiders win at the blackjack. Okay, and that's for.
Okay.
Tim's getting L a drink at the blackjack table. Hey,
I say he get us both one.
Okay, Angria, you got to come down to get your Coke from Tim as well. He's going to meet you in Vegas. Okay.
I think we should all three of us. We should do a show in Vegas.
Well, that'd be a good thing to do. Well, we can figure that one out at least in 2020.
Yeah, we got a whole season and a half to figure it out.
That's true. Angria, any parting shots or last minute thoughts to wrap up the show, hon? It's always a great deal to hang out and get the chance to pick your brain. Love Miss Angria Trask. Anything that you got going on?
No, not really. No updates here. Just plugging right along. We're trying to get to the end of the season, hoping we win at least a couple more games. That would be awesome. I don't care about draft position.
I don't either.
Not one bit.
I think we're both of a mind that wins for this club are a lot more important than whatever position we end up in the draft, because the players are there. I mean, you're going to get whoever you get, and if long as the scouting is good and the availability is there, you're going to get some good players. That's just the way it is.
Okay, and I'll close with this. This goes out to my dear friend Popeye and to all of you other morons that think that winning is bad. Why in the blue hell would you think that players, professional athletes, are going to be motivated by not playing well so you can get a better draft pick to draft their replacement? How stupid do you think? Well, no, they're not stupid. You're the idiot to think that anybody would tank so they can get a better chance to be replaced. You effing morons. For all of you that sit out there and whine, piss, and moan, you never put on pads, which would greatly explain why your idiocy.
Idiocy.
Just please be quiet and save us the pain of having to listen, because we don't know how ignorant you are until you open your mouth. Just, I'm sprinkling this on you so you can just let that soak in.
Okay. I think that's well said. And he kept it within PG-13 as well. That's good. So I'm going to say, well, I'll let you guys sign out. Then I'm going to say goodbye as well. Angria, you go first.
This is Angria Trask signing out. I don't know what to say, Captain. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, I just wanted to make sure you said goodbye.
We'll catch you guys. We'll catch you guys next week. I hope we have another win. We could be 4-12.
And I think we have a chance to be. Actually, I think we have a chance to be 6-10.
I can see it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to pray for it, but I can see it. I'll pray for it, but
I understand what you were saying.
You know what I mean.
Always a pleasure, honey. We'll see you definitely next week. Elle, go ahead.
I always love to follow you, my sweet tender huckleberry from the north.
Oh Lord, wouldn't I be a snowberry?
Well, that is snowberry,
no.
But that's okay. I can thaw you. I'll thaw you. I'll get to the huckle.
Oh Lord.
All
I gotta
right.
go.
I tell you what, Raider Nation. I tell you this, because I didn't get a chance to lead with it, and I'm going to stand away from the microphone because I've been waiting to do this for a long time. Yarg, Raider Nation! It was great to get a win against the Stillers. And I know I kind of blew out a couple people's ears. I actually was away from the microphone on that one. You should. El even popped back because he knew it was coming. It's great being here. I tell you what, come back and see us, or actually hear us next week on the edition Coast to Coast Raider Nation with myself, Captain Jack, Big L, and up there in the frozen tundra of Alaska, Angria and Trask, and the Muscovite. We love everybody out there. Take care. We'll see y'all next week on Coast to Coast Raider Nation, signing off for another victory Sunday to be, hopefully. We'll see y'all next Wednesday.
Keep it Raider.